I grew in their hearts and not in her womb. And it is an even more special place. It's a warm and fuzzy place to grow, trust me. I am an adoptee, and today I would like to share with you how my gratitude, the highlights in my life, and the question that helped me to find my purpose, my ikigai, and how people were placed and strategized in the points of my life helped me get there. Ikigai is a Japanese concept practiced in Okinawa, which is home to the oldest living people in the world. And might I add that now I have practiced 2 life hacks from Okinawa, one being karate and the other one being ikigai. Iki means life and gai means purpose. Hence ikigai means life's purpose. I believe that ikigai results in longevity once we finally get to live out our purpose. As humans, we are wasting our time with the unnecessary shenanigans of life. And we are not mindful about why we are here, what our mission is, and who we are supposed to love and protect. Ikigai is about discovering what you're good at, about what the world needs, and what we could get paid for doing while doing what sparks joy in our lives. It has taken me 23 years to find my ikigai. In fact, my ikigai had been staring me in the face all this time. But I wasn't mindful, and I didn't realize that each moment that I was given, each moment I created around others, by myself, or even the moments that I could impact on the lives of others, was a gift and an opportunity to find my ikigai. I was like everyone else, participating in the rat race, constantly pushing to be the best daughter, the best wife, the best friend, the best social worker, and the best mother, living day by day with no real purpose. I failed to connect the dots in my life, and during a pandemic, I was forced to push the pause button. And I started asking and reflecting. I started asking myself questions, started practicing mindfulness and gratitude. An epiphany was what it was for me. And I realized that my ikigai had been set out before me, before I was even born. And one day I sat down and I said to myself, Lezel, all of these dots in your life, your ups and your downs, have led you to this moment. So today, I'd like to share that journey with you. My mother painted this beautiful picture of the day she met me. And even though I was only 5 years old, I remember how she smiled when she told me the story. I recall how loved and overly special I felt. It's that warm, fuzzy feeling I was talking about in my intro. I've always held on to this story, irrespective of how tough times would become. And it reminded me that things could have been so different for me. And I was grateful that I'd been blessed with parents who loved me so dearly. She stepped into the nursery, and I was the only baby not crying in the room, undisturbed by the chaos in that room, peacefully sleeping in her crib. That was me. And when she looked at me, she knew that I was meant to be part of her family. And when she held me, she knew that she was meant to be my mom. I guess I wasn't crying because I felt love, I felt peace, and the blessings emanating in the room from my parents. Remember, I grew in their hearts, and the love was familiar to me, and therefore I felt safe, I felt loved, and as tiny as I was, I guess I felt blessed. So let's fast forward a few years into my high school career. And I found a love for working with very young children. So I became a Sunday school teacher at our local church. I always knew that I wanted to be a mom. I knew I wanted to love like my folks did and get the opportunity to experience unconditional love. So in grade 12, my guidance teacher, Miss Blichnout, under much duress, and despite my attempts to convince her otherwise, suggested that I become a social worker. So I enrolled to the University of Cape Town to study social work. But guess what, guys? I still didn't connect the dots. So during my second year in 1998, I was placed at an orphanage for my practical assessments. One day I got home and I was so excited to speak to my mom about this little baby girl that I had met. She was only a few months old, and I basically begged my mother to foster this girl because she had no family. My mother wasn't too keen to do that because she wanted a little girl in our home as a permanent person, a permanent family member of our home, in our family. So I didn't understand. I couldn't understand. It was only after I left the placement, when I was so overwhelmed and so sad that I was leaving this little baby girl, that I fully understood what my mom was talking about. But still, I didn't connect the dots. Many years later, I found what I thought was my niche in my professional career, that being mental health. And I went on to become very impactful in the lives of people who struggled with mental wellness. I even started a business, a wellness company called Molefe Legacy Consulting. I was soaring. I was successful, both in my side hustle and my permanent position. But I forgot something. I lost the gratitude. And at the time, I was also doing some freelancing work for an adoption agency. And this was so weird because I was assessing potential parents who were on the same journey as my parents had undertaken 30 years ago. And still, I didn't connect the dots. But this was part of my journey en route to finding my ikigai. My husband once asked me whether I wouldn't consider finding my biological parents. And my response was, not really, because my parents taught me that biology means nothing when love means everything. So, after so much success, an inflated ego, a few mistakes, a whole lot of loss, an ocean of unhappiness, depression, anxiety, and a basket full of vulnerability and shame, but a willingness and to show courage and share my story. I found comfort in my adoption story, told by my mother when I was just 5 years old. I started holding on to the very first gift of life, and my parents changing the script for me. I started to cherish and be grateful for every moment given to me, every opportunity that presented itself to me. I committed to the act of mindfulness, hence creating the abundance of gratitude. And in 2017, I worked as a program director at SOS Children's Village. And still, I wasn't connecting the dots. 2020 was a challenging year for me. It was the hardest part of my life. I lost my job, I started a business, and my bank account was always empty. And I was trying to survive a pandemic that came to shatter many lives, as well as the life of mine and my family's. In 2021, I changed the business name to Ikigai. And shortly after the name change, my husband Cedric and myself were having coffee. And he turns around and asks me, "Have you ever considered working as an adoption social worker?" And it was as if something lit up in my heart, not my head. And suddenly, it all made sense. I finally connected the dots. Right there, in an instant, my lights turned on. How did I miss this though? My work is all about connecting the dots for other people, connecting people to other people. The other day, I asked a previous supervisor to compile a reference for me in order for me to start practicing as an adoption social worker. And these were my exact words in the email. I've decided to finally answer the call and do exactly what a social worker did for me 42 years ago. She found me the perfect family. I would love to do that for many other little babies out there. I would like to change the script for them. What I have learned is that your ikigai, your life's purpose, is orchestrated before you are even born. But in your quest to find it, you have to be consistent, committed to practicing mindfulness, committed to practicing gratitude. I have a saying, gratitude is the door. Our mindfulness and our intentional behavior is the key to that door that leads to our happiness. I have learned that when I am grateful, I am not fearful. I have also learned that when I am grateful, I respect myself and others, and I love dearly. I have learned that even at the times when I am at my lowest point, I am grateful, and that sparks joy for me. I have allowed my life to unfold just the way it was supposed to, and I found purpose. So today, I'd like to tell you, go ahead, be grateful for every moment of your life. Connect the dots, stay mindful, and find happiness, find purpose. Thank you.